Om, the Chandogya Upanishad in simple English, presented by Svayam Prakash Sharma, part 6 of 14. This part contains sections 14 to 19 of chapter 3 and concludes the chapter. Here we are told that the individual soul is one with Brahm, the soul of the universe, that the universe is a treasure chest, and that man's whole life is symbolically a sacrifice. The Upanishad, chapter 3 concluded, sections 14 to 19. This whole world is Brahm, the soul of the universe. It is from this Brahm that the individual soul comes out, without which he will be dissolved, and in which he breathes. One should meditate on this Brahm with a tranquil mind. Know this, that a person actually consists of purpose. Whatever purpose a person has in this world, that is what he becomes on departing from this world on his death. Therefore, every person must frame a purpose for himself. He must give purpose to his life. He who consists of mind, whose body is life, whose form is light, who has been conceived as truth, whose soul is space, who contains all actions and works, who contains all desires, who contains all odors and tastes, who surrounds this whole world, who is without speech and without concern. This is myself within the heart. It is smaller than a grain of rice. It is smaller than a grain of corn. It is smaller than a grain of mustard. It is smaller than a grain of millet. It is even smaller than the kernel of a grain of millet. This is myself within the heart, which at the same time is also greater than the earth, which is greater than the atmosphere, which is greater than the sky, and which is also greater than all these worlds. This is the self of mine, which is within the heart. It contains all actions and works. It contains all desires. It contains all odors and tastes. It surrounds this whole world. It is without speech. It is without concern. This self of mine, this is Brahm. On departing from this life, on my death, it is into this Brahm that I shall enter. He who believes this, all his doubts will be resolved. He will no more have any doubts. The sage Shandilya used to say that the individual soul and Brahm are one. Yes, Shandilya used to say this, that the individual soul and Brahm are indeed one. The universe is a treasure chest which never decays. This chest has the atmosphere for its inside and the earth for its bottom. The quarters of space are the corners of the chest, and the sky is its upper lid. This treasure chest contains within it all the wealth of everything that is here in creation. The eastern quarter of the chest is named Juhu. The southern quarter of the chest is named Sehman. The western quarter is called Rajani, and its northern quarter is called Subhut. The child of these is air. He who knows this air as such, as the child of the quarters of space, he never grieves for a son. He never sheds tears for the loss of a son. I hear know this air as such, as the child of the quarters of space, may I never grieve for a son. Taking the name of his son thrice every time, he says the following: I take refuge and shelter in the imperishable chest with my son. I take refuge and shelter in the breath with my son. I take refuge and shelter in Bhu with my son. I take refuge and shelter in Bhuva with my son. I take refuge and shelter in Swaha with my son. When I said, I take refuge and shelter in breath, I said that knowing that breath actually is everything here that has come to be in existence, whatever that is there in existence. So it was in this that I took refuge. I took refuge and shelter in everything that has come into existence. When I said I take refuge and shelter in Bhu, what I said was that I take refuge in the earth, I take refuge in the atmosphere, I take refuge in the sky. When I said I take refuge and shelter in Bhuva, what I said was I take refuge in fire, I take refuge in air, I take refuge in the sun. And when I said I take refuge and shelter in Swaha, what I said was I take refuge and shelter in the knowledge of the Rig Ved, I take refuge and shelter in the knowledge of the Yajurved, and I take refuge and shelter in the knowledge of the Samved. That was what I said. The whole life of a person is symbolically a sacrifice. A person, in fact, is a sacrifice himself. The sacrifice consists of the morning offering, the midday offering, and the third offering of the evening. The morning offering is offered with a Gayatri hymn, which has 24 syllables, and that is the length of the morning offering. 24 years, 1 year for each syllable. The Vasus are connected with this part of the sacrifice, the morning offering. The vital breaths are the Vasus, for they are the cause of everything that happens in this world. If a person should be laid down with sickness during this period of his life, he should say, O you vital breaths, O you Vasus, let this morning offering of mine continue and carry over to the midday offering. Let not me, who is the sacrifice itself, be broken off in the middle of the vital breaths, in the middle of you, the Vasus. He then gets up cured, free from the sickness. The midday offering is offered with a Tristubh hymn, which has 44 syllables. So the midday offering is for 44 years, 1 year for each syllable of the hymn. The Rudras are connected with this part of the sacrifice. The vital breaths are the Rudras, for on departing from the body, they cause everything here to weep. If in this period of his life a person be laid down with sickness, he should say, O you vital breaths, O you Rudras, let this midday offering of mine continue and carry over to the third offering. Let not me, who is the sacrifice itself, be broken off in the middle of the vital breaths, in the middle of you, the Rudras. He gets up cured, free from the sickness. The third offering is offered with the Jagati hymn, having 48 syllables, and 48 years is the length of the third offering, 1 year for each syllable of the hymn. The Adityas are connected with this part of the sacrifice. The vital breaths are the Adityas, who are time in the form of months, for on departing they take away everything to themselves. time takes away everything to itself. If during this period of life a person falls sick, he should say, "O you vital breaths, O you Adityas, let this third offering of mine continue and carry over to a full length of life. Let not me, who is the sacrifice itself, be broken off in the middle of the vital breaths, in the middle of you, the Adityas." He gets up cured, free from the sickness. It was in fact knowing this that Mahidas Aitareya used to say, "Why do you afflict me with this sickness? Me, who am not going to die by it." He lived for 116 years, and so too will he also live 116 years who knows this. When one fasts and stays hungry and thirsty and abstains from pleasures, then these constitute the initiatory rites. It is as if he is being initiated. When one eats and drinks and enjoys pleasures, then he joins in the Upanishad ceremonies, where the sacrificers are happy because they get to drink milk. And when he laughs and eats and indulges in sexual intercourse, then he joins in the chants and in the recitation. Austerity, almsgiving and charity, uprightness, non-violence and truthfulness, these are the gifts for the priests. Therefore it is said, he will procreate. He has procreated. That is his new birth, and death is the final bath after the ceremony. Ghor Angiras told this to Krishna, son of Devaki, and as he had become free from desire, he also told him this. In the final hour of one's life, when one is about to die, one should take refuge and shelter in these three thoughts. 1. I am indestructible and eternal. 2. I am unshaken and firm. And 3. I am the very essence of life. On this point, there are two rig verses. The knowers of Brahm, with their eyes turned aside, with their hearts cleansed of all impurities, they see the light all around. Proceeding from the primal seed, they see the morning light that shines higher than the sky. Seeing beyond darkness, seeing that higher light, we attain to the sun, the God among the gods. We attain to the highest light. Yes, we attain to the highest light. Now we come to the fourfold nature of the individual and the world. With regard to the self, one should meditate on the mind as Brahm. With regard to the divinities, one should meditate on space as Brahm. This is the twofold instruction. One with reference to the individual self, and the other with reference to the divinities. With reference to the individual self, that Brahm has 4 quarters: speech, breath, the eye, and the ear are each 1 quarter. With reference to the divinities, fire, air, the sun, and the directions are each 1 quarter. This is the twofold instruction with reference to the individual self and with reference to the divinities. Speech is a 4th part of Brahm. It shines and warms with the light of fire. Whosoever knows this, he too shines and warms with fame, with renown, and with the radiance of Brahm knowledge. Breath is also a 4th part of Brahm. It shines and warms with the light of air. He who knows this, he too shines and warms with fame, with renown, and with the radiance of Brahm knowledge. The eye is another 4th part of Brahm. It shines and warms with the light of the sun. He who knows this, he too shines and warms with fame, with renown, and with the radiance of Brahm knowledge. The ear is also a fourth part of Brahm. It shines and warms with the light of the directions. He who knows this, he too shines and warms with fame, with renown, and with the radiance of Brahm knowledge. The cosmic egg. The sun is Brahm. This is the teaching. An explanation of this is as follows. In the beginning, this world as such was non-existent. It was in a state in which name and form were not yet manifested. It became existent. It grew. It turned into an egg and lay for a period of 1 year. And then it burst open. Out of the egg shell came two parts, one of silver and one of gold. The silver part is the earth, and the gold part is the sky. The outer membrane of the egg is the mountains. The inner membrane of the egg is the mist and the clouds. The veins of the egg are the rivers, and the fluid within the egg is the ocean. And what was born from it is the sun in the sky. And when the sun was born, there were shouts of hooray and joy. All beings and all desires also arose with the sun. Therefore, at every rise and at every return of the sun, there are shouts of hoorays and joy, and all beings and all desires also arise. Whosoever, knowing this, meditates on the sun as Brahm, shouts of joy will come to him and delight him. Yes, shouts of joy will come to him and delight him. This concludes part 6 in chapter 3 of Chandogya Upanishad. Om Shanti 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 Om.